Hi guys, Nerd Person Shooter here again. So, last week, Sony announced a lot of choices that are some of the most anti-consumer bullshit I have ever heard in my life, and probably the most I have ever experienced happen in the gaming industry. This is like the worst anti-consumer thing I've ever seen in gaming. In my 33 years being alive, I spent almost 30 of those years being a gamer, and over 25 of those years, well over 25 I think, being a hardcore just PlayStation fan. Well, I think those days are over. They announced three really bad things, very unapologetically so, and I don't even know where to start. There are three main talking points. I don't know which one to talk about first. It absolutely boggles my mind. I guess we'll talk about the first thing that they announced, I believe, and that was not only getting rid of over 550 movies to buy on whatever the fuck movie service they have, I don't even know the name of it. Not only are they doing that, but they actually decided to take the license away from everyone who bought one of those movies or multiple movies with no refunds. You don't get your money back and you lose what you bought. So apparently two of them are Terminator 2 and Total Recall, which are like two of the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movies ever. Ah! Fuck! So, with that having just happened, that tells me that big corporations, big companies like Sony, like Microsoft, and like Nintendo, do actually have the power to take digital licenses away from you. Now, let's talk about the second thing that they announced, is that starting in 2028, their games, or at least like their first party games, maybe even all games, probably all games, if the PS6 is only going to come with digital, it's not going to have a disc drive. I'm assuming that all games to ever come out on PS5 or PS6 are going to be digital only. Okay, it sucks. I kind of saw this coming eventually, but I was hoping it wouldn't be this soon to have like their main new console be digital only. I mean, they had discless PS5. The Microsoft has the Xbox Series S, but at least they have regular PS5 with a disc drive, Xbox Series X with a disc drive. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last generation. This current generation is the last generation to do physical, because Microsoft had already announced that their new console, or whatever, a PC hybrid, Project Helix, is going to be digital only. That sucks. But now Sony is doing it. And I'm gonna talk about more of these, these branches, but I just want to introduce you the three things that, that they announced. The third one is that they are shutting down the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita. They already did years ago for the PSP. So, combine these three things. 1. Digital only future. 2. They can take away licenses. And 3. Games will eventually become not purchasable in the future. And that is a cycle that will last forever. Sony is no longer even a digital. They're already no longer a digital even brand. They are now a temporary brand. Buying a game on PlayStation in the future, it's like buying a subscription service to watch one movie, and each movie has their own subscription service. That's the amount of money you're fucking paying. That you're gonna pay. $80 for a digital license. Thanks a lot, by the way, Rockstar and Take-Two. Thanks a lot. Because now that GTA 6 is gonna be the best-selling game ever, every other company is gonna be like, well, $80 it is. Thanks a lot. So, okay, let me start elaborating now on these three separate ones. Let's talk about the PS3 store and the PS Vita store. Now, the thing that sucks about this is a lot of games only ever came out on the PSN PS3 store, like infamous Festival of Blood. That can only ever be bought on the PS3 store. There was no physical thing. There's, it was like a $10 PSN game. From my recollection, was quite good. I enjoyed it a lot. I got 100% trophies. That is no longer going to be able to be purchasable. You'll never be able to buy and experience that game ever again. Unless you found a friend who had it in their library. But it's even more damaging to now know that Sony can take away your licenses. And I have a lot of digital games. Even I know I say I'm pro-physical, and I am, but I bought well over 100 games on PSN, like hundreds across PS3, PS4, and PS5. I never had a PSP or a PS Vita, but I've always wanted them. I mean, not so much the PS Vita, but definitely the PSP. But now I don't even feel like there's much of a point, because the PlayStation Store is going to be shut down for both of them. And I was on the fence before I found this out, of still getting a PS Vita. I was like, okay, but if I can buy enough PS Vita games through the PS3 store before the PS3 store shuts down, because you can do that. You know, I can buy some PS Vita games in advance, and then after it shuts down, I can buy a Vita. Put my account on there, and just simply access a download list and download all the games from where I bought them on PS3. Well, I really had to look this up just to be sure, and to align with my bad luck in life, it seems that the download list for your PS Vita games is within the PlayStation Store on the PS Vita. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. You know what that means, right? It means you won't be able to access your PS Vita games digitally after the store shuts down. Unless there is a download list somewhere else. I couldn't find anything on it. Like the download list, unlike the PS3 at least, the download list is within the PlayStation Store. So I would have to buy all my PS Vita games physically. That's one thing that sucks about the physical games market now. And I feel like it's going to skyrocket even more for physical games once digital games take over the world. Is that they just get more and more expensive, more and more high in demand. Take, for instance, Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation goes for hundreds of dollars online, whether it be eBay or Amazon or whatever. You want to know how much it costs on the PS3 store? $6, $5.99. Look, man, as much as I love, physical copies, I would rather still get that game digitally for $5 over $300. They're starting shutdowns next month. They're starting it in August in certain countries like Mexico, I believe. And then we fortunately get to have it the longest. It's not going to shut down in the United States, where I live, until July, until next year, next July. 2027. So we have another year. We have another full year at least to look through the PlayStation Store and figure out what we want. But there's a lot of games that you can just get digitally through the store that you probably can't afford to buy physically. And they're taking that away. So it's like, are you pro digital or not? They're making us aware that everything is going to be digital while they shut down previous storefronts where there are also digital only games that are stuck there. And what about delisted games? Oh shit. Delisted games, like older racing games or older football games that have like sponsored franchises and stuff. That's really easy to lose your licenses with. I mean, that's more understandable because they're the licenses with like certain like car manufacturers. They tend to expire faster than any other type of license. I could get a copy of Gran Turismo 7 physically, because they still make PS5 games, PS4 games. So what's going to happen when Gran Turismo 8 comes out? And, I'm of course speaking hypothetically, but chances are there is going to be a Gran Turismo 8 eventually, because they still do make Gran Turismo. What happens when Gran Turismo 8 expires in, say, 2037 or something? Like, say it comes out in, 3 years. We have a new Gran Turismo in 3 years. That license on the PlayStation Store is only going to last them 3 years. There's no other way to play it. It is gone. There's no preservation at all. That game is gone already because there are no physical copies of it laying around that you can find at GameStop, or maybe not so much GameStop. I feel like now GameStop probably only has a couple years left because physical games are going away, and their game store that for some reason doesn't like having really old games in their store, like NES and Super NES and Sega. Why are you only fixated on two newest generations? You're not going to make it now because gaming is becoming digital. But yeah, for now at least, you can get physical copies at GameStop. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Target, Best Buy, or your local game store. I still buy physical copies. And now, because of this bullshit, when Metro 2039 comes out in February, I'm gonna want to get that physically too. When Resident Evil Veronica comes out in the spring of next year, I'm going to want to get that physically, because now I don't trust them anymore. I don't trust them with our licenses that we buy. People ask me, well, when was the last time you bought a physical copy? Which, I mean, if you can see behind me, I own quite a few PS5 games. So, people who are all like, well, I've never bought a physical game since 2015. Yeah, the Witcher 3 or Bloodborne. That's the last time I bought a physical game. Yeah, I've been digital ever since. Yeah, well, good for you. I haven't. As a matter of fact, the three most recent games that have come out that I bought physically, Silent Hill F came out around October of last year. Okay? Neo 3, which just came out in February or March. And I got this 2 weeks later after it came out at Walmart for $62 with my 10% employee discount card. But I have it. I own it. And then right after I got Neo, I got Battlefield 6. This came out in October, I think, as well, or September of last year, and I got this in like March or early April. And I got it at a local game store a couple miles away. I mean, not a couple miles, but a couple towns away for only $25. I got this for $25. And look, I know it's a live service game and shit, and eventually this disc will probably just become a useless coaster after Battlefield 6 shuts down entirely and no longer becomes existent. So it's like you kind of, you might as well buy that digitally then. You might as well buy live service games digitally, you know what I mean? When they shut down, there's no point of even owning the game. But for now, I have it. It's operational. It's still online. And I own it physically. I can do whatever I want with it. I can trade. I'm actually am planning on trading this in because I am done with it. But yeah, I can do whatever I want with it. And $25, like for the single player alone, I thought it was worth it. The 5 to 6 hour long single player. But I also played the multiplayer very extensively. $25 physically used instead of $70 on the PlayStation Store that it still goes for. And that, my friends, is what I think is the real reason why Sony is doing all of this. Besides the fact that they're so spiteful that they do not care at all about game preservation. So I'm not even talking about the closures of their stores or the delisted games. I am talking about them making as much money as possible with the very littlest amount of effort, with the very littlest amount of distribution or production. I always thought the idea of digital games when it first started was to give us a cheaper way to buy them. Like I was hoping that they would be like cheaper than the physical games. I remember when Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes came out in 2014. The physical, which by the way, this game wasn't even worth like $20, let alone 30 or 40. I mean, it was like a 1 hour long game with like a couple little levels with like different objectives in the same area. It only had like a couple hours of content. It was not worth more than like 10 or maybe $15. But anyway, I remember when it came out in 2014 that the PS3 and 360 versions digitally were $20 and the physical versions of those platforms were $30. Meanwhile, on the PS4 and Xbox One, I believe digitally it was $30 and physically it was $40. Which is fucking wild. How diverse the pricing was for that tech demo. But it made me hopeful that digital would have been worth it if digital copies were actually cheaper than physical. And that led me on to a false belief. Okay, because it doesn't make a fucking difference. Like, physical and digital, they cost the same at launch. They all do. Well, apparently not Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Apparently physically that game's going to be $40 and digitally it's only $30. So maybe for like, smaller developers who need to make more money, I think for them pricing it more for physically is probably more worthwhile. Like if Hollow Knight Silksong ever came out on physical, if it hasn't already, it'd probably be 30 instead of 20 or 25 instead of 20. But AAA studios, it's like they don't care. It's the same price. It's 70 or it's 80 now. It's $80 for new games after this year ends. But anyway, sorry for my pricing rant there. But you know what's going to happen now that PlayStation has all the control over where you buy it, just on their site. You know what's going to happen when there's no secondary way to buy those games. There's no physical copies laying around. There's no other way to acquire them. You must buy them on the PlayStation Store. Period. You know what's going to happen. They are no longer going to have sales. Because there's no competition. Unless, of course, they're third-party games where, like, maybe Steam has a sale. Steam always has sales. At least Steam is good with digital. They have really, really good fucking sales. Only then can I see PlayStation possibly being like, okay, well, people are buying this more on Steam because it's cheaper. Maybe we'll mark this half off for a couple weeks, or 25% off for, I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But as far as first party games go, games like Spider-Man and God of War and whatever else, PlayStation exclusive, The Last of Us Part 3 or whatever, they're going to stay 80 forever. Kind of like how Nintendo does it. Um, where like their games are never on sale on the eShop. Yeah, like Tears of the Kingdom is still 70, Super Mario Wonder is still 60. But at least with Nintendo, they still are producing physical copies. Yeah, there may not be like actual data on the disc. Maybe it's more like a key card to download data. But I don't see that as a valid counter argument. Like that. So what? So what? You have to still download the game. You still have physical access for it. You can still let a friend borrow it and be like, hey man, this game is awesome. Put this in your Switch and download the game, or put this in the PS5 and download the game. Because I admit, like Battlefield 6, that there ain't no fucking data on this disc. There ain't no data on this disc. Okay, you still have to download it. It can still take days to download everything. Kind of like Call of Duty 2 with the stupid HQ launcher. You know, where you put a Call of Duty disc in, and instead of downloading Black Ops 6, it downloads the fucking launcher. But at least you still own them physically. You can still find them physically. Because PlayStation 6 isn't going to have that anymore, PlayStation 6 games are going to be always $80. Because there's no competition. They are making their little ecosystem into a monopoly. And on top of that, they can take it away from you at any time now. Whether it be from a delisting or like an actual license taking, like that they can control your fucking account. That's another thing that sucks about digital games. When you lose your account, you lose everything. Everything you've ever bought, gone. No refunds, no anything. Just gone. Fuck you, okay? Fuck your account. You swore at a 10-year-old kid for 2 seconds. Your account's gone. Goodbye, your thousands of dollars that you spent. You know, hope you didn't quit your day job. And, yeah, fuck off. I am never going to get a PS6. I am never going to get the next Xbox either. I'm done with the console wars. Maybe I'll migrate more over to Nintendo. If Nintendo at least promises to keep their games physical. I mean, Switch 2 games, they're not, you know, like I said before, you know, the data for games don't often come for, you know, your physical cartridge or your CD or whatever. But at least, you know, you can still access it. You can still, you know, sell it. You can still sell that license physically, trade it in, get money out of it. Digitally, they have way too much control over it. You know, they really do. And this just really sucks. I can't see how anyone can rationally defend this while also calling them a customer, you know, while also calling themselves someone who is loyal to PlayStation, who thinks they are pro-consumer. They're just not anymore. These were 3 reasons why. And it just boggles my mind how like they just dropped it all within like a fucking 3-day span. It's just awful. It is absolutely awful. You will own nothing and be happy. I'm sick and tired of hearing that because of how true it is. But I'm also sick of hearing it because it ain't gonna be true for me. Because I will refuse to go to an industry that strongly favors digital license over physical ownership. Okay? And honestly, I'm like that towards the film and streaming industry as well. I've never had Netflix, I've never had Hulu, I've never had Disney Plus, okay? And, my mother has Amazon Plus or Amazon Prime Video or whatever it's called, Amazon Video. And that is, I admit, how I was able to watch all seasons of Archer. I do still have a couple seasons of Archer on DVD, but unfortunately I don't own every season of Archer. But I'm glad I was able to watch all episodes through Amazon Video. That was nice. And I do admit that I do own a digital only console. I own the Xbox Series S, and it was kind of an impulse buy, I will admit, but I think at the time I just wanted something to play Game Pass titles off of. New Game Pass titles like Starfield, which I fucking hated, or, the new Forza games, the new Gears of War, Expedition 33, stuff like that. Some of them were really good games that, I played a lot of, to the point where I do think that I did get my money's worth out of the Series S. I haven't been using it lately. It's been collecting dust, mainly because Game Pass prices have been moving erratically like a roller coaster. When I first bought the Series S, I think a month of Game Pass was like 15 or 17 bucks or something, 16 bucks, around that ballpark. And then they increased it up to 20, which made me less interested in buying more Game Pass, but I think I still did a couple times. And then they skyrocketed it to fucking 30 bucks a month, which I never took a part of. And then they finally, after a huge amount of backlash for that, they lowered it down to like 23 or 24, which is still worse than 20, but at least not as bad as 30. Ever since it rose to 30, I've never been back to Game Pass, so my Series S has been collecting dust, because I don't have any physical copies for it. I will, however, turn it on to play Stalker 2, the Cost of Hope DLC, which should be coming out sometime this summer. But enough about that. I'm saying that I have caved a few times digitally as well, in terms of like streaming and stuff. But I am, generally speaking, anti-stream, and now I am definitely anti-digital. Just because now I know they can take your licenses away without a moment's notice either. Like, I wonder, because, I've been buying digital off these fuckers for, a good 10 years or maybe 8 years. I don't know. Well, PS3 included, definitely over 15 years. I wonder how many games I've lost and me not knowing about it. Like, do I still have Dirt Rally 1 on that thing? I guess I have to look it up. I don't need to have to worry about that shit. Games that you buy. I'm not talking about renting. I'm talking about, digital license ownership. Like, shit, man. I gotta get through my digital backlog now before physical. I was actually planning on getting through my physical backlog first, since, it was a good way to not only empty more space in my room, but also get more money out of trading them. But now, I'm like, I'm gonna save those for last, because who knows how long I'm gonna have all my fucking digital games. Better get to them first. Great. Fuck me. Fuck me up the asshole, Sony. And fuck you for doing it. You metaphoric rapists. I'm done supporting digital. I mean, I never really supported it. I tolerated it. I thought, at a lot of points there were the cheaper alternatives to like finding physical copies online. You know, like a lot of PS3 games I'm actually planning on buying are like fucking $200 when I look them up individually on Amazon. You know, it's ridiculous. So I'm gonna buy at least like $100 or $140 worth of games on the PS3 store before that goes down. But from this point on, when it comes to new games, I might just pay physically, you know, as long as I can. A lot of these companies are really out of touch because they're like, well, 85% of everyone buy digital these days, and I'm like, yeah, so does that means you're willing to sacrifice the 15% who refuse to buy digital? Like that's 15% is still a pretty large percentage of your player base. And you're willing to sacrifice them so that they don't get to find these games cheaper in their local game store. Like, fuck you. Like, what a bunch of slime balls. What a bunch of fucking corporate greedy slime balls, man. Like, holy fucking late stage capitalism, Batman. Fuck. You will own nothing and you will hate it. You will own nothing and be miserable. You will buy hundreds of dollars for temporary shit. You know, it's like games might as well be microtransactions. You will own nothing and you should be done with it. You should move on to better hobbies that are better for your soul. I miss back when games were fucking special, man. You would buy a game physically, you know, you would open the case up, right? You would read the back of it and get you all excited on the ride home. Your mom drives her home, you're reading all this. Like it's the first time you have ever played a game like this. You're reading the back of it, sounds so fucking exciting. You open the case up, you get a instruction booklet, okay? You're reading it. You're looking at the new control scheme that you've never played before. You know, it's really exciting. That you'll have like, you know, list of characters and shit, and just like the plot, the basic premise of the story, how to play it, and then you sniff it. I know it's weird, but back in the day, a lot of instruction booklets smelled good, like Play-Doh good. You know, you would sniff it. It would have like a new game smell. Like, I think Mass Effect was like that. It's like, oh god, it's like fucking snorting coke. It's like, it is unreal, and it is something that is so uniquely special about what gaming used to be. When you didn't need to worry about a patch or an update. You didn't need to wait fucking hours to download hundreds of gigabytes of gameplay data. The game would already be on here. You would just, you know, PS2, you just put the game in, put a memory card in, and you're good. I've already talked about, you know, I've already ranted though about, you know, how I miss what gaming used to be, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that games were just physical and the experience of bringing home physical games. Like that feeling is just, it's gone now. And I've always wondered why that feeling disappeared. Now I've realized why. Because gaming has become predominantly digital now. And that feeling of obtaining it is less organic. It's more artificial, you know? You're just like buying it through the store. There's no anticipation. You're just like, oh wow, pre-order. Now we wait, and then it comes out and you're like, alright, I got the game. I'll download it. You know what's fucked up? When the PS4 first came out, PlayStation, I think they were trying to diss Xbox One for like having a lot of digital only stuff, which I don't recall. Like Xbox One had disc too. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's because they were accusing them of their games not being on the Xbox One CDs. But I don't know. I don't know if it was a diss or whatever, but they were like, this is how you share games with your friend. And it would be like two people, and one of them's handing them his game. And now they've done a complete 180 and contradicted that message. What the fuck? It's so bad, and it's so bad that very few people agree with this turn, with this decision. Even IGN, one of the biggest gaming journalist shills of all time, even they don't agree with it. They even made a skit, like a parody skit of that same thing. Only like there's no game in their hand, and they're like, "You're not going to. Your friend can't play it." The end. Like they even IGN made fun of Sony for this. That's how bad Sony has fucked up. That even IGN is with us. IGN is with us. Whoa. Great job, Sony. Wow. Wow. Moving on to movies, briefly. Movie comes out theatrically, okay? And then it goes to streaming services, and then it finally hits DVD and Blu-ray. I really hope that they never get rid of DVDs, or at least Blu-rays, because that's how I buy my shit. That is how I watch movies. Like I said, I don't own streaming services. Game Pass is a little bit different because usually games nowadays, it's like a one and done thing for me. But if I like a movie, I'm gonna want to watch it multiple times because it's not gonna take me 30 fucking hours to do so. It's a movie. It's different. It's different for me, And so I like the idea of owning movies. Nowadays, you have to like rent it each time, like each fucking viewing online. It's like, fuck you. What the fuck? Like, just fucking buy it. But don't buy it digitally because now companies are taking it away. The licenses are even more fucked up in the movie industry. Okay? I really, really hope they don't get rid of DVDs. Oh my god, dude. My DVD collection's even bigger than my gaming collection. And then you have the music industry. I think the music industry is a little bit different. I think a lot of younger people are now rediscovering like vinyl and shit, like vinyl and CDs, which to me is a really good thing. I work at Walmart, and oftentimes I will sell, like a Michael Jackson vinyl record, or like a Billie Eilish album, to like a group of teens, and it's like pretty cool to see, That's cool. So I'm not too worried about music becoming digital only, even though that is like very digital. I just listen to music on YouTube. But, they have Spotify and stuff. I don't really know how strict the licenses are in that one, but I feel like when it comes to music, I think music is more sentimental to most people. When you listen to something and you feel it, it's a different experience, it's a different feeling that it gives you. And I think there's more sentimentality to owning something like that physically for younger people than there are games and movies. So I'm not too worried about the music industry becoming digital only, but I fear that eventually, and hopefully not in my lifetime, eventually, like everything is going to be digital only, and it's going to be a very sad era for entertainment. I will still continue to play the digital games that I already have for the time being. But I really am now deeply discouraged from buying digital games now. If I can help it. After I'm done with playing modern games that I own digitally, I might just... I'm probably going to quit gaming altogether and just pursue another hobby. Or maybe I will go back to really old stuff like Sega Genesis and, things that I grew up on as a kid, and have that be kind of like a hobby of nostalgia. I'll make a little man cave, hook up a nice big CRT, and, plug in a Dreamcast and play some Shenmue. or Soul Calibur, or, whatever. Because I just don't like where everything is heading. It's bad. It is awful. We ain't gonna own anything anymore. What next? Are they gonna take away our driver's licenses? We'll have to take the test every 5 years instead of owning our driver's licenses forever. Or maybe they're gonna take away our cars. They're gonna be like, okay, you're gonna buy this $8,000 license for this used car, and these 4 years are up. You're gonna owe us another $8,000 for that car, or else we're gonna take the car away. Maybe we're gonna have to start renting air. They're gonna start polluting the air, okay, and they're gonna kill off all the other species on Earth. We'll be the only other species on Earth, because we're gonna be the only ones with gas masks on, and they're going to charge us for those gas masks. You want to live? You gotta pay for it. You want oxygen? You want healthy oxygen? You want that oxygen tank to live? You better rent up every 2 weeks, $1,000 every 2 weeks, or we're gonna take away the oxygen and we're gonna murder you. We're gonna murder you. First we'll take your shit away, and then we'll murder you. Fuck you. Yeah? Well, I'm a rebel, and I say, you there, big rich fat guy. And when I say big rich fat guy, I mean comically and cartoony, stereotypical fat cat with a big suit who jumps in a pool full of money. You're a fat cat. I'm talking to you, fat cat. Fuck you. Fuck you. Not gonna do it. I will not engage in the entertainment industry in 20 years, when even DVDs are gone. I will just pursue a new hobby like adventuring or mountaineering or traveling. Yep. Well, thanks for changing my life. Maybe this was the push I needed to get out and touch grass and experience the sunlight. For everything to go digital and just push me out. Thank you guys. I needed this. I didn't realize that how necessary this was to get me out of the house. Just to take away all my games. They better not make physical ownership like illegal too. You know what I mean? Like it is illegal. It's like busting a house full of meth. Only instead there's a bunch of DVDs and video games. Am I gonna be a target? Am I gonna be on like the FBI top 10 most wanted for having like the most DVDs and games in the entire population of New Hampshire? Am I public enemy number one? They're gonna riot every house in America and be like, you're harboring PlayStation games, are you not? You're harboring DVDs. Show me where they are, so my Nazis can shoot them through the floorboards. Inglourious Basterds reference. Anyway, it's one of the longest rants I've ever done, maybe even the longest. It's really interesting how this action coincides with my decision to retire from YouTube. Like I just have to retire at the right time. I just had to do it. I was planning on retiring in December, before all this news even came out from PlayStation, and it's like I don't know, it's weird. It's like a sign of something to come for me. I'm quitting while I still feel like I can get out of gaming on time. Maybe I'll still make videos of other things. You know, maybe I'll just use my alternate channel, not my music channel, nostalgic soundtrack nostalgia. That's like my alternate music channel that I used to upload game soundtracks from like 2013 to 2015. Stopped doing it. That has like more than twice as many subs as this main channel. Shit. But I do have like a third YouTube channel where it's just like my Facebook profile picture and there's no videos on it at all, just my regular name. Maybe I can upload videos to that YouTube channel, and maybe that will be like my new era of YouTube, non-gaming life. Fuck digital. This is my great digital media rant. Mostly about games, but a little bit about other mediums as well. Are they going to stop publishing books? Is everything just going to be like digital books that you read on your computer or something? Or audiobooks only? What's going to happen with that? Is Stephen King going to be okay? Anyway, guys, yeah, that's about it. It wasn't a good week for gaming. Not just for PlayStation gamers, but for gamers who care remotely about owning what they bought. We shouldn't have to worry about game preservation. I think that is the biggest threat to exterminating physical media. That there's no preservation at all. At all. Alright, guys, well, stay tuned for my Doom the Dark Ages Revelations review, which, by the way, is a digital license. I had to buy that digitally, so who knows how long I'll have that, but at least I'll be able to play it for the first few days of its life cycle. So stay tuned for a mini review of that, and as always, thank you for watching. Sony, if you're watching this, Jim Ryan, if you're watching this, go fuck yourselves. I fucking hate you. See ya.
Subscribe, motherfucker.